Let me rewind the clock back to 2018. My brother has recommended me Death Note. I finished it, I liked it. Not long after that, I started watching Tokyo Ghoul because of the hype as fuck opening which I listen to this day. I mean, who doesn't? However, the main reason I started watching anime one after another is mainly because of my friends. And one of the shows they also recommended me alongside Goliaths like Fullmetal Alchemist and Hunter x Hunter was My Hero Academia. I watched season 1 and I loved it. I got my siblings into watching it and they loved it. We would get together after lunch just for 25 minutes to watch an episode of this show. Every episode gave us fulfillment in action, hype as fuck plot and brilliantly crafted soundtrack. Fast forward today and the first two things are slowly starting to fade away. Our weekly hype has been turned into consistent disappointment to the point where it's not even funny. It is however funny if you find someone else watching it, but this isn't Game of Thrones level of ironic experience. To say that the plot of MHA is weak is a massive understatement in my opinion. This wasn't always the case though. Season 1 and 2 knocked every other shonen out of the park and became the go-to anime for everyone. In 2018, if you call yourself an anime fan and did not know what My Hero Academia was, then you're not a clown, you're the circus. The series was filled with tight and engaging plot, interesting characters, jaw-dropping action and a soundtrack which is just
oh my god! Wow!
Now however, the series is just painful to watch. I've had my gripes with the series from the beginning, but it is a shonen. It is purely made for kids and I respect that. But what I also enjoy is development and growth. What I'm showing you right now on screen are some of my favorite anime and manga series. All of them are shonen and have a different way of storytelling method, but what is similar in them is growth. If you're watching a show or reading a story, then over time you want that depth and investment. No one likes being treated like a poo-poo fart brain. My Hero Academy now has no depth. It isn't that the series doesn't have interesting stories to tell, but the show is constantly here to remind you that it is the Deku show. Every single story has something to do with Deku and I personally don't like this. Endeavor has one of the most interesting stories in the entire series, but instead of making it about him and his family, they just had to throw in Deku. It is like people develop because of Deku and Deku is a saint dropped from the heavens who has no real flaw. And before you say that he has more powers and the yada yada quirk lore of One for All, then let me point it out that the power isn't equivalent to development. Look at Ichigo from Bleach. This guy was pushed to his limits in every possible way. Mentally, physically, emotionally, the fights he took part in changed him as a person, believing in his friends gradually a lot more than he did in the beginning. So when I reached episode 366, I sat back and thought to myself, damn, Ichigo still has his flaws, but he has improved so much as a person. His numbers of abilities don't play a role here. Hell, even take Asta from Black Clover. A lot of people are gonna be pissed about this one, but tell me why exactly you hate him. Because he is loud. I never had any issues with the way he talks because his personality is A. flawed and requires development, B. competitive and hardworking, and C. he hasn't gotten it easy. He is selected by the lowest ranked group of knights in the city and his rise in the ranks is enough to get one invested. In comparison to Asta alone, what does Deku exactly have? He inherited the most powerful quirk by the hero he idolizes. He is controlling his powers at ridiculous extents with his newly developed gear, and every season his fights become more and more one-sided. I still can't get over the fact that Overhaul lost to him. Deku's story alone is just not enough for me to get invested at this point, which brings me to the supporting characters. Supporting characters here include everyone who isn't Deku, meaning the rest of the students and the staff of UA, the pro heroes and the villains. Now let's bring back Black Clover just for a while. If you have watched up till episode 100 of both of these series, then you know that Black Clover's supporting cast absolutely stomps My Hero's supporting cast in terms of writing. What Black Clover has done is revolve the supporting cast on a much larger scale than the two main characters of the show. What My Hero Academy has done in comparison is write them with the most risk-free pedestrian way. If there was a class to teach how to lower the sense of urgency, then I just make them watch My Hero Academy. Now I'm gonna put up a picture of a character from My Hero and you guys need to answer who this person is without looking it up anywhere else. If you do manage to answer it, then hey, good job. But if you don't, well then someone is buying me a bar of Toblerone. Remember these guys from the provisional license exam arc? From the looks you probably do, but what exactly do you know about these characters? Many have probably even forgotten about the black-haired Deku. These guys were pointless introductions in this story, and honestly they really sum up how high the bar is set for the supporting cast in comparison to Deku. The villains are a complete joke. I understand My Hero Academia is trying to tell a story of people with different circumstances. They made that especially clear with Shigaraki's backstory in season 5, but I couldn't connect with it. Unlike how the series told me about Deku's struggle to get into Hero Academy in the first 2 seasons, Shigaraki's backstory happened in a fucking flashback. If you're a My Hero fan, then you know at this point that flashbacks for a certain character equal to him or her winning the fight. This is exactly what happened with My Villain Academia. Some of these new villains also have deplorably awful quirks. Like this reporter girl has a quirk which turns everything she touches into a landmine. She goes off and fights Toga, and this fight goes off for so long, and honestly the ending is just insulting. This also made me realize that so many of the quirks that these other students have don't have any significance. Like look at Zero. This guy has a tape for a quirk. In season 1 you think he might do something cool, but he never does. I don't feel like spoiling stuff, but honestly what is even here to spoil? You can go to basically any My Hero forum from previous seasons and look up their fan theories. They're all actual plot points. I also hate taking a crap on the creators, but it feels like Horikoshi seems to forget many of his own plot lines or just stops caring about them once he loses interest in them. Remember how big of a deal the UA traitor was in season 3? Well, in season 4 and 5 that doesn't matter. The investigation goes nowhere and we get introduced to new characters that also won't matter. The big 3 is what I'm talking about. These guys seem completely pointless ever since the overhaul arc ended. I kind of understand that people aren't that interested in the structure of the hero institutions, but why is it that in an academy like UA, the core focus is only on 2 of the classes? Why does only UA get attacked out of all of the hero academies? This series is so inconsistent that back in season 2, during the sport festival, they didn't even have the characters which they used in the first half of season 5. You are getting dirty faced with crappy filler episodes. Animators are putting more effort in the movies because they seem to be making more money, although I have never met anyone who has actually watched any of these. Season 3 feels like a distant memory, but it has sure left some extreme damage to a series I once loved so dearly, which is why I'm gonna give this one final chance. Season 6. Bones, if you mess this up, then count me out. I got nothing to do with My Hero if this does not make it count. The series is taking forever to reach game-changing stakes, and honestly with Chainsaw Man, Jujutsu Kaisen 0, Demon Slayer Season 2 and Attack on Titan final season just around the corner, this series really needs to pick up the pace. Hey, time to end the video, but before that, I gotta tell you guys that I will soon enough finish reading The Promised Neverland, and that might get covered in the near future, and I also resumed Toilet Bound Hanako-kun, so maybe some impressions on that. If you have any anime or manga you want me to talk about, then there's a comment section, might be useful. That's it, see ya.